Have you ever wondered how to become a software engineer? Over the past decade, software engineering has become one of the most sought after careers. Let me take you through my journey of becoming a software engineer. I enjoyed computers from a young age, mainly because I got to play video games on them, even though it was only for an hour a day. I remember grinding backyard baseball for that hour a day and loving every second of it. But I also liked using computers to learn new things. I made several mixtapes, which I still have today, some of which may contain Nickelback. In high school, my love for technology increased. I was lucky enough to land a job at a local college's IT department for 2 summers in high school. Here I learned the inner workings of computers as well as how to fix basic software issues. I installed operating systems onto hundreds of physical hard drives. I still don't know if they use them to this day. It was also my first professional setting where I had to show up every day. Towards the end of high school, I had the opportunity to take AP Computer Science, which I jumped at because I could be on my computer all class. This was before iPad kids. In AP Computer Science, I realized I liked the problem solving aspect of coding as well as the gratification that came when my program ran successfully. Although I did well in the class, I did end up getting a 1 on the AP exam, which was a bit discouraging. After graduating high school, I was chosen to participate in a highly selective high school internship program at the MITRE Corporation. This was due to my performance in STEM classes, so I'm guessing they didn't see my AP Computer Science score. MITRE works on projects for the US government in many areas, including healthcare, cybersecurity, and defense. During my time there, I worked on a team of 5 engineers, one of which was my dedicated mentor. This was a great learning experience. The project I worked on automated the creation of virtual machines, so I got to learn a bit about virtual machines as well as APIs, and most of my work was done in C Sharp, so I also got to learn that. All these experiences in high school contributed to my software engineering journey because I learned the basics of coding and that I wanted to pursue it more in the future. After my internship, I was fortunate enough to be accepted into a college with a great computer science curriculum. I spent most of my academic time in college completing my computer science major, whether it be PSETs, labs, or finding internships. The workload was extremely high, and this was the hardest part about becoming a software engineer. The computer science major totaled 13 courses and was split into 5 parts. The first part of the major was the foundation, which taught basic coding skills as well as some math. The second part was the kernel, which was intermediate classes. The third part was 9 credits of electives, which translated into 3 classes. The fourth part was colloquium, and it was basically weekly computer science TED Talks. The fifth part was clinic, which was a year-long group project for a real company. In terms of my software engineering journey, the most useful courses I took were Intro to Computer Science, Data Structures and Program Development, Software Development, and Clinic. In Intro to Computer Science, I completed this cool maze thing called PicoBot. I learned the basics of coding through Python. Although this was a review of AP Computer Science, the problem sets were much harder, so I felt like I gained a deeper understanding of how to code. Data Structures and Program Development was the weeder class, so a lot of people ended up dropping this class. The problem sets for this class took about 20 hours a week, so it was pretty much a part-time job. This class was invaluable in my software engineering journey because it taught me data structures like arrays, hash maps, and linked lists, which are heavily used in software engineering interviews. In software development, I built an authentication app with a few other classmates, which was useful because I got to learn the software development lifecycle. In clinic, I worked on a project for a cybersecurity company. This taught me how to run a project, how to meet deadlines, and how to interact with colleagues. The most interesting class I took was systems security. I learned how computers store things and the vulnerabilities that could arise. In addition to my coursework, I tutored several computer science classes, both to individuals and groups. This has served me greatly in my software engineering career since I learned how to explain things effectively and work with others. Overall, in college, I built a solid coding foundation and gained all the skills necessary in order to gain an internship or job. As a freshman, it's much harder to get an internship in software engineering, so I went back to the MITRE Corporation after my freshman year. This time I worked on a dashboard for air traffic control operators. This was awesome since I used Unity, which is used to create 3D apps. So all my work this summer was done in C Sharp. During my second summer, I worked for a 10-person student-run startup called Dreamport. They provided virtual reality lessons to schools so that the students would be more engaged. In terms of the idea behind the company, this was my favorite company that I worked for. Sadly, they're not in business anymore. I worked on the front end or the website's display, so I learned JavaScript, HTML, CSS. The best internship I had by far was during my third summer at Infosys. Infosys is an IT consulting company, but what was special about this internship was that it was in Bangalore, India. The program brought together computer science students from all over the world. I had some of the best times of my life traveling around India with my friends. I worked on an app that helped users virtually try on clothes, which utilized machine learning through Python. My internships taught me what it was like to work as a software engineer. Along with coding well, learning through uncertainty is a major part of software engineering. A lot of the time I did not understand the project I was assigned or even the tools I was going to use to complete the project. But through each internship, I gradually improved this skill of working through the unknown. In addition, my resume improved greatly. I also built connections with people at all the companies I worked for, so I had a couple options when it came to full-time jobs, even though I didn't end up returning to any of these companies. My first job was a 2-year rotational program at GE Healthcare, which is a large company in the medical device space. The most impactful project I had during my time there was my first rotation, where I built an improved configuration tool for an X-ray viewer. It was impactful in that I improved my coding ability, but the real impact was that I improved my software engineering capabilities. One element of software engineering that I significantly improved here was the ability to plan projects. I had planned projects before during college and my internships, but the extent with which I had to plan things was much greater here. I had to plan the length of each part of the project down to the day. I also learned how to give my opinion in meetings and ask for help from more senior engineers. Lastly, I learned how to work with legacy code, which is a huge part of software engineering. I worked mainly as a full stack engineer, so this is front end and back end. Front end is what you see on a website, and back end is how the data actually gets to the website. I used Java and SQL for the back end and Angular with TypeScript for the front end. My first job taught me that being a software engineer was more than just being able to write working code. A software engineer must be able to communicate effectively, meet deadlines, and write readable, maintainable, and efficient code. Also, following processes, especially at larger companies, is a large part of the work, like documenting how your system works. After the rotational program ended, I started looking for other jobs, mainly at startups, since I wanted to make more of an impact. I applied to hundreds of jobs. Quick tip here, if you want to pass software engineering interviews, definitely grind lead code. Lead code contains a bunch of coding brain teasers which require knowledge in data structures and algorithms. This and maybe system design is all you need to gain an entry-level job in software engineering. Needless to say, I did not grind lead code that hard until I kept getting rejected. Finally, I started getting offers and I decided to join a unicorn healthcare startup, which was also fully remote. I currently have been working here for 2 years, so I won't dive too deep into the details. At this job, I improved my ability to work on the whole software development lifecycle and my back-end expertise. The most important thing to become a software engineer is keeping at it and being okay with being uncomfortable. At the start of my software engineering journey, I could barely code. I got a 1 on the AP Computer Science exam. In college, I almost failed numerous computer science classes, but I kept at it and ended up passing the courses. Also, during my sophomore year, I was this close to changing my major to history. Most of my internships, I had no clue what I was doing until halfway through the project, but I ended up completing all the projects and getting good recommendations and return offers. I got rejected from hundreds of jobs, and I still have so much to learn at my current job. All this to say, I could have given up at so many points during my software engineering journey, but I chose not to, and that's a major reason why I'm a software engineer today. Another tip is always keep learning, whether it's personal projects, learning new languages or frameworks, or even leak code. Technology changes fast and the software engineering field is very broad, so you have to push yourself to keep learning if you want to be able to do this job. One more tip is make sure you like coding at least a little bit. A lot of people get into this field for the money or the perceived prestige, but if you don't like coding, you'll most likely end up hating your life as a software engineer. Lastly, software engineering is a very stable, flexible, and good paying job, so it is worth the time and effort needed to become a software engineer if that's what you're looking for. I hope you enjoyed my journey of becoming a software engineer. Everyone's path is different, and there is numerous ways to become a software engineer, including boot camps. But I hope something in this video can help you along your journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if you have any specific questions about software engineering or my journey. Also, let me know what you want to see next time. Peace.